What's nowadays?
Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. Let's see. House of the Dragon. Vanderpump Rules. I'm very big into reality TV.
Give me my last one. The last one.
And we're on the Housewives of New Jersey.
Okay. Shout out to the Housewives of New Jersey. She tapping y'all in. Okay. How do you feel about the child support system?
I will sit there and say it's hard on both sides because with people who get put on child support, sometimes women can be vengeful.
Oh, who you telling? I know from a fact, my first baby mama.
Hold on. We're not painting this into just women being vengeful. Women, sometimes I think when a man is trying and he's working a job or multiple jobs and trying to give her what he can, sometimes they use the kid against him in that respect and just collect money. Then you have those women who are wonderful mothers, but their baby fathers are deadbeats. And, the state gives them $50 a week.
Oh, wow.
Anybody who knows anything about raising a child, first of all, $50. My dogs cost more than $50.
My dog costs more than $50 too.
Okay, so there's no way $50 for one kid in the state of Connecticut per week, $200 a month for one kid. That's not even a grocery week for them. And that's not forget childcare and everything else, but there are women who do this. They work 3 jobs just to support their kids because that's what the state of Connecticut does, child support. And that's how it rolls. As I said, it affects on both sides. There are those who abuse the system, and then there are those who do right by their kids. And unfortunately, get screwed regardless. Men and women alike.
That's very true. What's your favorite music era?
The 90s?
Hey!
R&B, always.
Shout out to that. How do you feel about the crack epidemic when it started in the 1980s? How do you feel about it affected society from then to now?
Oh, that I can already tell you. I'm actually working on a project that I'm presenting up in New York on the 13th of June.
Hey!
It's actually dealing with the ill effects of the war on crime, war on drugs.
Okay.
The criminal justice system criminalized the war, the crack epidemic, all of that. They catered everything to that. They over-policed the neighborhoods and ended up a lot of communities of color.
Yep.
A lot of black men went to prison.
Yep.
That was the era of the 3 strikes you're out. All this that went from the late 80s to the 90s.
Yep.
During that time, that was the time of the super predator kids, later 90s.
Oh, wow.
At that point, these are people who were doing, for 2 felonies and then you get that 3rd felony, you don't life. These are people who were sitting behind prison doors for either life, 50, 60, 30-something years beyond. That were teens, children, or old, like 20-something-year-old people who had to do time. And this, if you look at anything in New York and Connecticut, this was during the punitive time in prisons, where the riots in the prison, the healthcare was piss poor. The mental health is awful. So that impact has lasted till today. And now, as a result of that, a lot of people who were incarcerated as kids are coming home now as adults. But how can you expect them to adult in a world now where technology has changed 10 times?
Facts.
They barely know how to use a cell phone in this day and age. Social media is up and running longer than they were even out in the world at the time. Their families are either have died off, don't want nothing to do with them because the amount of time they've done. They're felons, murderers, felon, blah, 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 whatever crime here. These are people who are coming home who have difficulty getting jobs. How are you supposed to support yourself? How are you supposed to do things? You can't get a job, you have no support system, and your family's gone. And you don't have the ability as an adult, because you weren't an adult at the time you went to prison.
So you don't even know how to function.
Exactly. And now we have multiple kids from the late 80s to early 2000, 2010, now coming out here as adults who, you wonder why we have a high homeless rate population, why the opioid epidemic is hitting a lot of people, because they turn to either suicide or they go back to prison because that's all they know.
That's very true. Have you met anybody famous?
Yes, but I'm going to say the last person was the Vice President of the United States.
Hey, she met the Vice President of the United States. She said that.
That was last year. We'll just go with that. And
I got to hear that motherfucking live on the Dead on This Talk podcast. Like I said, all you got to do is hit the number 3, spell good, Brothers with the S. You'll see Allen Productions. You'll see all of our content. We appreciate all support. Shout out to that. Is there a level to success in life?
I think it's whatever you make it. I think people define success differently for everybody. I think it's what you feel makes you successful. I think it's what makes you feel where you don't have to not. It's the moment you get to in life where you don't feel like you have to keep working as hard. And I don't mean like, oh, I've got to work another 10 hours. No, it's you've reached a pinnacle in your life where you're like, okay, I don't have to get another degree. I don't have to buy another house. I don't have to do ABC. You know, you've reached success when you are content with what you have. That's enough.
That's really true. We're going to take an intermission. We're going to tap somebody in the Gentleman's Talk podcast. I don't want to talk to that person. Somebody called me on the Gentleman's Talk podcast, but we're going to tap another person in. We're going to just let her say hello to a person in the Gentleman's Talk. So this is all live, so like I said, we appreciate everybody that taps into the Gentleman's Talk podcast. Let's see if we can tap a person in, let them say hello. Hey, shut up. We're on the Gentleman's Talk podcast. Say hello.
Hi.
We're on the Gentleman's Talk podcast. This is Marisol. She tapped into the Gentleman's Talk podcast, so you can say hello. Shout out, say something. Say hello on the Gentleman's Talk podcast. So they can't hear you.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, say hello on the Gentleman's Talk podcast.
How y'all doing?
We're doing good. She's tapping in. That's Badu Holly. She's a reality check, y'all. And we had to tap in on the Gentleman's.
Stop that. So introduce me the right way.
Okay, that's my wife, y'all, on Gentleman's Talk podcast. She tried to clutch real fast, y'all. She just came for me. Shout out to the Gentleman's Talk podcast.
Same way I introduced you, was fuck you the right way.
Yeah, so we're just doing the Gentleman's Talk podcast. So that's what's going on.
Okay.
What time do you want to go?
I came by your house. I saw you was going, so whenever you're done, if you wanna, I think it's over. I think it closed at 9.
Okay. Well, I'll be done like in 20 minutes. I'm just going to finish the interview.
Okay, I just walked in the door, so that's fine.
Okay, great.
I had to go face down my stuff, the stuff. I got it.
Okay, well, just bring it to me when you pull up.
Oh, you could just come. You don't feel like coming, because I'm tired, right?
Okay, I'll come grab you. Just bring it outside when I pick you up.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Alright, y'all have fun.
Of course. The Gentleman's Talk podcast, you know what the fuck we talking about. Go watch a motherfucking episode. We gotta go fucking finish this interview. We out of here. Shout out to motherfucking Holly tapping on the motherfucking podcast.
Shout out to my wife on the podcast.
Let me get you on the podcast. As you can say, people call in all the time. Well, I might call out all of this. But this is, like I said, we use the audio, so y'all ain't gonna see that. But listen, y'all gonna hear about it. So shout out to that. So on to the Gentleman's Talk podcast. Continuing in, how do you feel about 2-on-1 helping the homeless in Connecticut or just around the world?
I think it's a great thing to do. Unfortunately, there's not enough assistance. Obviously, we have a very high homeless population in Connecticut, but also nationally. We again do not have enough housing for people. And there are a lot of certificates and a lot of these housing rebate things, but
Yes.
guess what? There's not enough houses to apply them to. Not everybody wants to do that.
Very true. How do you feel about young kids taking their own lives, killing themselves from generations you saw until now?
The loss of life, no matter when it is, losing a life that young is rough. That is right there where our work needs to be, because I think the younger they are, and there's no reason that the kids this young take their lives. I mean, but it's real to them. So I think that's the mistake a lot of people make, that they don't recognize that they're in emotional torment and they're psychologically distressed. And I think when you don't recognize that and understand that it's real to them, you have to address that, and you have to give them the support that they need, because if not, really every young person we lose is a life lost that we can never get back.
That's very true. If you could go anywhere in the world, where would you go?
Japan.
Why would you go to Japan? Tell us on the Gentleman's Talk podcast why you were going to Japan.
I've never been to Japan, and Japan has a beautiful country. It's a beautiful country, and it has a long, long history, longer than a lot of the British Empire, the European empires. It's
It isn't longer than China? China got the Great Wall.
They do, but Japan is a much more peaceful culture.
Okay, I'm just checking because I don't know. I ain't been to China. But shit, if you going to Japan, you gotta take me. Listen, we gotta go.
Can't promise that.
Hey man, I can't go to Japan. Man, yo, that's all this with the shit, man. I'm on the Let's Talk podcast, but I gotta make sure she's staying focused. Then I can make her laugh. Okay, relationship questions. We ask everybody this, male and females. This might make you laugh. How long should a man last in bed with a woman? We ask everybody this question. Realistically.
Minimum half hour.
Half an hour. She said, men. She said, men that need to be less than half an hour. Listen.
No, more than a half.
More than a half an hour.
Minimum.
The minimum gotta be half an hour because listen, y'all men ain't pleasing these women. So she said she gave y'all a time frame now. Shout out to her being the first one to say that. Other women in tap that they ain't say all that, but shout out to her being a real one on that one.
Listen,